How would you feel if you knew a shattering truth, one that could upend everything, but everyone around you dismissed it as pure madness, labeling you delusional while the shadows closed in? Imagine the isolation, the gaslighting, the slow unraveling of your sanity under invisible eyes. That's the nightmare Ernest Hemingway lived, a literary giant driven to the brink by a conspiracy theory that turned out to be horrifyingly real. Stick around, because I'm about to unpack how the FBI's secret surveillance pushed one of America's greatest writers over the edge. And by the time we hit the explosive reveal, you'll question every paranoid story you've ever heard. Let's set the stage with Hemingway himself, the bullfighting, big game hunting, Nobel Prize-winning author of classics like The Old Man and the Sea and For Whom the Bell Tolls. Born in 1899, he was the epitome of rugged masculinity, a war hero from World War I, a correspondent in the Spanish Civil War, and a globe-trotting adventurer who rubbed shoulders with revolutionaries and spies. But beneath that tough exterior brewed a storm. By the late 1950s, Hemingway started confiding in friends about being tailed. Cars following him, phones tapped, rooms bugged. They're everywhere, he'd whisper, eyes darting. His loved ones? They chalked it up to alcoholism, depression, or the toll of multiple concussions from plane crashes. Doctors diagnosed paranoia, zapping his brain with electroshock therapy that erased chunks of his memory. Tragic, right? But hold on, what if his delusions weren't delusions at all? The first clue lies in his tangled web with intelligence agencies, and trust me, it gets spy novel wild from here. Flashback to the 1930s. Hemingway's leftist leanings first pinged on the FBI's radar. He supported the Spanish Republicans against Franco's fascists, hung out with communists, and even visited Cuba, where he befriended Fidel Castro's rebels. J. Edgar Hoover, the iron-fisted FBI director obsessed with rooting out subversives, saw red flags everywhere. By 1940, Hemingway was in Cuba, running a ragtag spy ring called the Crook Factory to hunt Nazi subs, unofficially backed by the US ambassador, but eyed suspiciously by the FBI. He even briefly acted as an informant, feeding intel on Axis sympathizers. But Hoover distrusted him, viewing Hemingway as a loose cannon with dangerous sympathies. The Bureau started compiling a dossier, 124 pages of reports, wiretaps, and tales that spanned decades. Hemingway sensed it, but no one believed him. Imagine pouring your soul into words that changed the world, only to feel hunted like prey in your own story. And as his paranoia escalated, the real surveillance fed the fire. But the next chapter shows how it all spiraled into tragedy. By 1959, Hemingway was a shell of himself. Living in Idaho, he'd rant about FBI agents posing as waiters or lurking in hotels. His wife, Mary, committed him to the Mayo Clinic twice, where he endured over 20 electroshock sessions, treatments that blurred his genius but couldn't silence the voices in his head. "They're watching me," he'd insist, even accusing doctors of being in on it. Friends like A.E. Hochner visited, heartbroken as Hemingway begged for help against invisible enemies. On July 2, 1961, just days after his release, he loaded a shotgun and ended it all at age 61. The world mourned a depressed icon lost to mental illness. Obituaries painted him as a victim of his own demons, no mention of government shadows. But what if those demons were planted? Stick with me, because the posthumous bombshell proves Hemingway wasn't crazy. He was right, and the proof came from the FBI's own vaults. Fast forward to 1983. Under the Freedom of Information Act, Hochner requested Hemingway's FBI file. What emerged? A chilling 124-page chronicle of surveillance starting in the 1940s, ramping up through the McCarthy era and lingering until 1974, 13 years after his death. Agents tailed him in Cuba, bugged his phones, intercepted mail, and even monitored his bank accounts. Hoover personally penned memos smearing him as unstable and a potential threat due to his Cuba ties and anti-fascist writings. One report from 1960 detailed agents watching him at the Mayo Clinic while he was being treated for paranoia about being watched. The irony is gut-wrenching. The FBI's actions amplified his fears, pushing him towards suicide, all while dismissing him as mad. Hochner later wrote that knowing this earlier might have saved him. Validation could have been his lifeline. But in the Cold War haze, truth was the real casualty. So how does this conspiracy theory echo today? In 2025, with digital surveillance everywhere, from NSA leaks to AI tracking, Hemingway's story warns us, sometimes the crazy ones are the canaries in the coal mine. Governments spy on artists, activists, and anyone who challenges the status quo. Think Snowden or modern whistleblowers, paranoid until proven prescient. Hemingway's tale isn't just history, it's a mirror to our monitored world. If this story shook you, hit that like button, subscribe for more dives into hidden histories and proven conspiracies, and comment below. Have you ever felt watched or known a truth others dismissed? Share this before the algorithms bury it. See you in the next one.